Okay, so I've just added the max for live function into Xek One. Just explain how this works, because it works differently to how majority of the rest of the excuse me functions work. Because I'll be building all of these max for live instruments, it means that I can kind of pull away from the way that the Midi language works. Midi language was made as a kind of universal language, and the way that usually works is everything sends a value of 0 to 127. So your CC values go from 0 to 127. Midi Note numbers values go from 0 to 127. Now, the way I want to use the M4L function is that you have up to 16 channels of M4L, and they will be sent on CC channels, but the only value they'll ever send is 0 and 1. So let's say we set this up to a M4L. So as usual, we'll just click on the button we want to make an M4L function. Take that to M4L, and you'll see that that's in cyan. And then when we click out of that, the button is in cyan to let you know that it's an M4L button. And what it will do is, if we click in here to edit it, you see it can be sent on an independent MIDI channel like the rest of the functions, and then you get the CC number. So that's the channel that you'll send the CC value on, and the M4L number, and it's latched or unlatched. So the M4L number goes from a value of 1 to 16. So you can have up to 16 M4L. The reason it's 16 is because you've got 16 buttons. So that could be M4L1, M4L2 and so on. So you could have 16 M4L functions, and the way they work is a lot like the AMP and the CTL. So when you out of here, I've not set this part up yet, but when you click on this, whatever the value in M4L 1 is, it will just send a bang to that for that to be sort of triggered. So it might be that, let's say we've got a loop going off, and the loop has 16 lengths set in the instrument, and you go there, that'll immediately send a loop to the length value that you've got in 1, if it's not latched. If it's latched, then when you click that, obviously that'll stay lit, and if it's latched, then your encoder here will be able to send a 1 if you're going right, if you're going clockwise, or a 0 if you're going anti-clockwise. And then what will happen is, inside the instruments that I build, I'll have different functions for if it's getting a 0 or if it's getting a 1. Generally they'll be the value of whatever you've set to be M4L1. It'll increase if it receives a 1, or decrease if it receives a 0. The reason I'm doing it that way is that then, let's say you've got something that can only be kind of changed that only has 2 stages. As you rotate in the software, it'll rotate just through them 2 stages. If you've got something that has 5,000 stages, as you rotate, you'll be rotating up them 5,000 stages. If I left it at 0 to 127, then you'll be rotating kind of within either divisions of or multiplications of 0 to 127. You'll be using a ratio, and with any kind of ratio you can lose definition. So it's much better if I step outside of the limitations of MIDI in this case, because I'm making the instruments specifically for this, so I don't have to kind of stick to them limitations. So that will be the M4L function on the Xek One. Yeah, letting it step outside of the limitations that MIDI puts on us.